Oh, we're live. Why do I have to go to the countdown? Good morning, Patriots. Happy Friday. So it's another day, another dollar, so to speak. Well, hopefully more than a dollar. If you only get paid a dollar, then you'll be living out of the back of your car by the end of the year when Joe Biden's economy. Just saying. So hope you'll have your coffee. We'll be doing some education, informing, and entertaining this morning. I have a few things to run by y'all. I think you're going to like it. I think Chris Cordani's here. Chris, are you here?
I'm here in spirit.
There he is. There he is, the great Chris Cordani. Chris, some people call you the Ed McMahon of the airwaves, the 21st century. Is that true? Do
It,
you know if that's true?
it's true, but that's only because they want me to bring that big check to their front door. Or I can say, hey, yo, pretty good.
Hey-o.
Here's
So
something you never
that's
hear Ed McMahon say.
what's that?
Gee, Johnny, that's not funny.
No, no. As a matter of fact, even on the bad jokes, he'd laugh harder than everybody else, and then Johnny would look at him as like, "Are you nuts? Really?" Remember that? It's like he'd look over. It's like, okay, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Him and Al Borland. That's another sidekick. That's another great
so
sidekick. Al Borland from
I didn't
from the
know
old
him, but I know Ed. By
well,
the way,
from
Ed,
the Home Improvement show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But let's go back to Ed. Ed was a Marine, by the way, and so I don't know if you knew that Ed McMahon served in the Marine Corps, and so that's the reason I'm wearing
Oh,
my Lawyers, Guns, and Money T-shirt this morning. So I want to do a very short tribute to one of my dear friends who passed 2 days ago, Colonel retired U.S. Marine Corps John Tempone. John was an extraordinary man that you've never heard his name until now. He was referred to in books because of his exploits in other parts of the world. As I mentioned, he was my class leader at spy school. There's our class's symbol. You can see it up there on the wall, and that's from North by Northwest. The picture of Roger Thornhill being chased by an airplane. That was we all had that on our door at school, and our theme was Warren Zevon's Lawyers, Guns, and Money. So, John, God bless you. God bless your family. You were an amazing Marine, amazing man. Uh, as Jerry Doyle said on Babylon 5, but we'll see you out past the rim. So, God bless you and Godspeed and everything else. So, anyway, enough about Marines today. We'll go on to other things because Marines are good, and we're going to be talking a lot about a lot of bad stuff, right, Chris?
yeah, but isn't that the fun of talking about things? Because the bad stuff that's happening around the world keeps us on the air. That's what I can tell you. Well, maybe one of the good things that's happening is Ukraine might be looking to get rid of Volodymyr Zelensky, or at least the West is looking to get rid of him after the Biden administration sponsored idea of canceling the 2024 elections in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Establishing Zelensky as a de facto dictator at this point.
I spent the entire day talking about this very thing on other channels, just saying. So, yes, a lot of interest in this.
And the thing is, his leadership hasn't been very good. I mean, he's been a great actor. He's good at begging
No,
for
no.
money, and he's good at pleading. But
I mean,
how how
who
well
who
is he
doesn't
led?
want to have a leader who dresses in high heels and dances? I mean, come on, Chris. I mean, could you see Joe Biden dancing a funky rhythm in high heels? Zelensky's got that all over him. I'm just saying.
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
he wants a job in Biden's cabinet after this.
what the heck?
That's a requirement.
So, what are you trying to say, Chris? Are you saying he's a bad leader just because he can't manage the country? Is that what you're saying?
I hate to put it this way, but that seems to be the reason I'm thinking of. Right? He can't manage the country. I understand wartime is not easy for anybody, but come on. But he's really good. Again, he's good at pleading. He's good at acting, and that's it. It's political theater. But uh, I mean, if you see him, he's always in those fatigues now. He likes to look the part of a wartime leader.
So okay. See, now I got you on this. So you're just saying that because he wears fatigues and he doesn't have a beard, he doesn't have credibility, right? Is that what you're saying?
He
Like,
has a
like
beard, doesn't he?
if he moved, I guess you're right. Well, so what you're saying, it needs to look more like Fidel Castro's. Maybe if he had that hat. Maybe if he had Fidel's hat. Do you think that would do it?
That's a possibility because but if he has the head, he's going to need a cigar with that.
Yeah.
There he is.
See, exactly. See, he just didn't have the cigar or the hat, and he'd be fine.
But he always
Maybe,
wears those colors, though. He wears the colors.
maybe I could send a note to the White House. You think they'd take my note? Maybe. And I say, hey, a little unsolicited advice. Tell Zelensky to grab a hat, like a cool army green hat and a cigar, and that'll increase his leadership vibe, right? I think people would buy into that. Plus, right, wasn't Cuba part of the Soviet Union during the Cold War? So it all kind of circles.
I would say that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course, of course, of course.
here's Zelensky again, um, looking tough on the front lines or somewhere behind the front lines.
Yeah, and I see people talking about the Parnell show. Yes, guys, I was on with Sean yesterday. Sean's going to join us here. Chris,
Nice.
I don't know if you knew this, but Sean Parnell's going to join us. It was a great show. I'm glad you all caught it. Sean's a great patriot, a good friend, a great Army guy. I like Army guys. So you know why? And then we will have him on to talk about some of the stuff we talked about. We may even have Sean Cover talk about Zelensky. See, I don't know. Does that look masculine to you, Chris? That picture of Zelensky there? That kind of looks like, hey, bud, can I bum a cigarette from you? I mean, that's kind of the vibe I get there.
Well, I didn't think about that. I'm thinking he's like, "Hey, where's all the shooting? I'm supposed to be here. Wait."
Yeah, where's the ambush?
Or I thought Joe Biden says he was going to be here with me.
I I thought they told me the pallet of $100 bills would be here.
Or that windowless van looks pretty cool. I think we're going to buy one.
That's that's right. We should have a contest for people to write in. What is Zelensky saying here? That would be fun for the. Hey guys in the chat, check out Zelensky in the picture there. What do you think he's saying there? That's a. Oh man, nothing that's going to get us in trouble for God's sake. But
He's
we're
like,
always on the edge. Ed had that talk with me the other day about being edgy. I mean, he didn't. I'm just kidding. Ed doesn't care as long as we don't get fired, or we all don't get fired. So it's
right. We don't want to get anybody fired, but we try to we don't even try to be edgy. It just happens to us. I mean, these guys give us so much material. It just happens.
So I got to tell you, someone leaked something to me. Look at this. Look at this top secret information. I've got a leaked document here that we're going to reveal later. Look at that. See, it's
Ooh.
code word turgid thunder. I wonder what that could mean. Turgid thunder. Wow. Let's see. It's top. So we're going to reveal this later on air when Eden's here. I think it would be fun to do it with Eden. Don't you think? I think so.
I think it would be fantastic. And,
This
she's
is
a lot of
this
fun.
is this is hot from the White House. Just saying. Look at that turgid thunder. Turgid thunder. So
It's not
we're
just
going to
thunder. It's
we're
not
going to
e-
see what's behind that in a bit. Yeah, it's going to be whistleblowers who you can't live without them. So we'll see what's behind the top secret turgid thunder code word. Turgid thunder code word. See, that's the code word there. Turgid thunder. So we're gonna see what's in there. So
Oh, I have some thunder for you. And we should all be
you're
worried
gonna
about
see.
this.
You're gonna see for yourself. I mean, we'll go with your thunder for now. Let's go with your thunder. What's
This is
next? Oh, thunderous one.
this is bad. Okay. I would like to get people's opinions on this, and I think I know what most of them are going to be. But
Okay.
you know how the World Health Organization is trying to push this pandemic treaty, where
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
you
Yeah.
also know that May 27th and June 1st, they couldn't come to a consensus and sign anything.
Right.
So the World Health Organization decided to, um, I guess I will use the term unilaterally because that's what they're doing, push forth new censorship rules for future pandemics.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And the idea is they're trying to, as you know, they're working on trying to silence any dissenting information,
Right.
including from legitimate doctors, just
Of
like what
course.
happened
Of
during the
course.
COVID pandemic.
Of course. Yes.
And I believe they're going to do this. They're going to establish they're going to tell us climate change is a health crisis, and now nobody can challenge the the World Economic Forums or the government's narrative on climate change.
And by the way, in the chat right now, people are guessing. There's some guesses pretty close to what turgid thunder is. Trixie in the mix. I think you're very hot. Just saying. Just keep going, Chris. I'm just watching the chat here. Just saying.
Well, I was also thinking maybe there's it was a way for the White House instructing its employees how to sniff both hair and cocaine. That's what Turgent Thunder is.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway,
Okay.
but back to the world. So, Ursula von der Crazy or von der Leyen, whatever her
Yes.
name is, the
Von der
EU
Leyen.
person, yeah, she actually was talking about getting ahead of disinformation by, I guess, planning your own false information. And I guess this would be part of the
Oh,
World Health Organization's effort to police up disinformation by preventing disinformation by planning their own disinformation. Does that
oh.
make sense? I think that all works together.
What, do they have Nina Jankowicz working for them too?
I think they're going to hire her.
Oh,
She would be perfectly suited to be over there. I mean, she went to the global school of propaganda, and we're better to be than in the EU with her her fellow travelers. I think she'd do well there.
she was so bad. And keep this in mind: the Biden administration keeps Karine Jean-Pierre on to push propaganda, but got rid of this one. Think about that. That's how easy it was to see through Nina Jankowicz.
We should find that Mary Poppins song she sings about
Oh no! Oh
disinformation,
no!
where she's doing
Oh, boy.
disinformation. It's too early for that. It's probably
Yeah.
too early for that. People would upchuck their coffee, which we don't want to have that happen. So,
But if you want me to pull it up, I will. It's just awful.
nah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, Chris. If you can bring it up quickly, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
waste a lot of time because she was hideous. She reminded me of in high school. When I was in high school, we had the prissy, we're smarter than you girls that always hung around together. They were always stuck up, and the one thing we always made fun of them is like, I know you all think you're smart, but you're stupid because you all present this false image. They all pretend they get good grades. They didn't. By the way, I had access to Phil Mailer. Dr. Mailer was our chemistry teacher in high school, and I had access to his grade book. Just saying, this is back in the 70s before they had computers. So Phil Mailer was. We still believe Phil was a terrorist with the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. We think so. This was in Lisbon, so for some context. Anyway, Phil was our chemistry teacher, Phil Mailer. We called him Phil. He was a good guy. This is high school, so who didn't want to call your teachers by their first name? And Phil, I think, anyway, I saw that they didn't get the good grades they all thought they did, though they pretended they did. And Jankowicz seems like that kind of woman. That's like she tells everybody she gets A's when she's barely getting a C. That's the kind of lady I think she is. So just saying.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I mean,
Yeah.
she has a decent singing voice, but her talent in putting lyrics
Really?
together, terrible. Oh, it's not bad. I mean, she actually is an accomplished singer, for that matter, which is funny. An accomplished
Accomplished?
singer and an accomplished liar. There we go. But
Well,
Biden's like that.
I get. Well, well, she was in the which she was in the Biden administration, right? So
Yes.
I think it's a requirement.
She was the I guess they use the term czar. So she
Yeah.
was the disinformation czar, if you will.
I still think she should have worn up one of those Mao collars and Mao jackets and all that. I think it would have improved her.
Oh, you mean like
effect.
Jen Psaki and her Mao hat?
Oh,
Her red
man.
star hat. Remember that one? That's
God.
Nina Jankowicz. Yep, that's her.
So remember the movie Snow White? She's like the evil witch that makes Snow White eat the apple. Remember that as a kid?
I do remember that. And she looks more like the evil Snow White they have now with Rachel Ziegler.
Oh no, she got fired. Rachel Ziegler is gone.
Yeah.
They fired her. So I think I don't want to go down this path, although I think we should get Doomcock on to talk about it.
That would be funny.
While Wall Street is 80% up, Disney stock is 30% down. How did it happen? Well, it happened because of knuckleheads who are like Nina, who are over at Disney doing all this woke stuff, DEI. DEI causes businesses to DIE. So that's kind of where that's all going. So
And these people didn't even think it was a good investment. These board members,
No.
these high-ranking officials that make the decisions, they just wanted to push an agenda regardless of what the cost was.
absolutely.
And one or two
So-
movies won't hurt, but then they start putting their agenda in everything, and it destroys the entire brand.
Yeah. Well, I
Right.
don't want to get into the Acolyte, but we should talk about the Acolyte. Man, oh man! If for those, I know you don't have to be Disney fans or sci-fi fans, but man, Acolyte is a dumpster fire wrapped in a hurricane over at Disney right now. It is like they took Mickey Mouse, poured him in gasoline, and lit him up and let him run all around Disney. It's like it's like an epic disaster.
Oh man.
It's great. Oh man, I tell you. So, by the way, just to remind everybody, we're going to be revealing in a few minutes the secret behind Turgid Thunder. That's a SCI code. Oh, and there she is. Anyway,
Oh,
we're gonna.
you
Hey,
guys.
good morning, Eden.
Good morning. I'm sitting
Good
here drinking
morning.
my coffee, enjoying you guys.
Me
You guys
too.
are hysterical. Happy Friday. We made it.
Happy Friday. Yes.
Happy Friday. Yes.
So anyway, we were just talking about Disney being woke and going broke.
Yeah.
Notably, again, Wall Street's 80% up over the last few years. They're 30% down. I know how that happens, but man, oh man, if you own Disney stock, it's like it's a bad investment. So, and I don't think it's going to be better anytime soon.
No,
Yeah, this-
absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So anyway, let me do a quick interview. So Eden Gordon Hill is a friend, colleague, and all-around good gal. She's a WMAL. She does the book reviews on WMAL. So tell the folks about your show, Eden.
Sure. So every Saturday morning, 105.9 WMAL, Washington, D.C., we have the All-American Book Club, and we are doing Patriotic Summer. We are talking about our future generations, veterans, military families, and a little bit of suspense and some fiction books as well, getting you ready for the election and getting you ready for the fall. We have a lot to talk about. It's so much fun. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. So I was on her show a while back. She's got great folks coming out, talked about patriotic books. So I don't think you'll be doing a review of Jane Fonda's books anytime soon, right, Eden?
Oh.
No, thank you. No.
So the reason I'm bringing this up, this is topical. Go with me for a second here. So
Sure, I'll go with you.
So before we reveal the secret behind Turgid Thunder, by the way, we're going to reveal this in a second with you on air. By the way, this is
no,
leaked top secret Turgid Thunder. We're going to find out what's behind
Chris,
that in a second.
thank you for warning me, Chris.
I didn't warn you about this one. You were on with us on another show. You should know this already.
I know. I was like, I said a quick prayer. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm walking into.
Have you not?
Well, you'll like
have you
this.
not
This
met
is-
Tony? Okay.
This is like I
Oh
said,
my God.
whistleblowers.
All right.
Anyway, you'll see what's there.
Maybe I'll ease you all first. Tony did
You'll
mention
see.
the acolyte
You'll
before you pulled in, and I wanted to say something. Well, I
right, go
don't
ahead.
like
Real
I don't
quick.
like the fact that Disney has ruined the entire Star Wars franchise, but I do give credit to Rick James, who's a very good star of the acolyte.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Rick James when he was singing.
He likes white girls apparently
That's right.
too, from what I've been told. So just saying. I don't know. I don't know. He talks about in his song. So she's a
Actually,
very
this one looks
freaky
more like
girl
the-
that you don't take home to mother. You know
No,
that, right?
this is more like the Rick James during the Dave Chappelle sketches, but that's a different story.
Man.
Wait, the five thing I say to the face, Is that slap?
I
He's a
think I
super
probably
freak.
should have had a little bit something stronger this morning than just coffee.
Oh my God! So that would be great. A live read by if Gregory Peck were still alive, he could do a live read of Super Freak. She's a very freaky girl. You don't take home to mother.
I was thinking Jack Webb could do something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, that would be
Just the
great.
freaks, man.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's get away from freaks. No, yeah. The freaks don't want no. The Greeks don't want no freaks, according to the Eagles, right? From one of their albums. Which album was that? The Long Run. The Long Run.
Oh, there we
That's
go.
a great song, by the way, for the summer. The Geeks don't want no freaks. It's a great kind of by the pool song. We tried it last week and it works very well. I recommend it.
Okay.
No. Well, back to before we got a little time here. So look, back to Vietnam.
Yes.
Well, not literally, but a certain guy, certain guy left Pyongyang and went right to Vietnam, to Hanoi. And I was thinking about this morning, as I often do, as I'm coming out of my meditative haze and waking up. There's a real dilemma here, Eden. I want to run it by you because obviously Putin showing up in Hanoi.
Yes.
And I mentioned Jane Fonda already. So I'm going to ask you a question. This is very serious, and your head might explode. So considering the fact that Hanoi Jane, that's her name, Jane Fonda, was very pro-Vietnamese, with Putin being, basically Vietnam and Putin are going to. So which side does that put Jane on, or can she be on the side since technically Putin is now the enemy of the progressive left. So how do you what does she do in this situation where the country she loved, Vietnam, still communist, is sidling up to a man that her party now believes is an enemy? What do you think the answer is there, or is there an answer?
Is she still alive? I guess that's my first question, though.
Yeah, she's alive.
Is she really?
Oh,
Okay.
in fact, Jane Fonda is
She's
so
still-
alive. She's doing political commentary. The Huffington
That's right.
Post says that Jane
Yeah.
Fonda said that that there's a big threat to electing the Orange Man. So she's yapping on about
Yeah.
being anti-Trump. So I think you might know your answer now.
Okay. Yeah. My answer is okay. Can we just get her out of commentary and just muzzle her? She does not represent me. And from the women's standpoint, that's an embarrassment, just as bad as Kamala or whatever her name. So I don't even want to be associated with her.
Oh, wait, but I have to give you this one. Let's go back to 2020, where Jane Fonda, who basically has been a traitor all her life, said that coronavirus was God's gift
I
to the
remember
left.
that.
She wasn't wrong.
I remember that. Yeah.
This is her.
Man, oh man.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Pathetic and embarrassment.
Well, as I'm saying, it's like it's kind of she's got to be torn, so to speak.
Yeah,
because
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
She's got, the Vietnamese are her friends. She actually helped. What was she shooting down a B-52 in that picture right there, Chris? Is that what that was from? Taking shots at our aviators, taking.
I think it was skeets.
Just skeet. I don't know. I don't think we had any skeet type fighters over Vietnam back then. Just saying, but okay. So anyway, but you're right. So all right. So it's time for the big reveal. So we've been talking about this from the beginning of the show. Turgid Thunder. This came from the Funkin Wagners has an insider. Funkin Wagners, the guys who provide the answers for Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is just everybody get a good dance. It's top secret, code word Turgid Thunder. So it's time for the reveal. What is behind? I'm going to
close up on Tony for this one.
What is behind?
Exactly.
Well, there it is. This is the secret for the debates. 25% maximum absorbent. 25%. Look at that. This is the secret. This is how he's going to win. 25% more absorption in his Depends.
Wait a minute. Right this sounds like the Chocolate Thunder from Down Under.
So that's it.
Which reminds me of
it.
Yeah.
That's it. See, there's Joe on the label. You can't go wrong.
Chris, did you do that? Did you completely
No, not this time. No.
He didn't know this. He didn't know this was coming.
I thought it was making people sick by that morning picture of Nina Jankowicz, but
oh my gosh,
this takes the cake.
I don't know. I think that picture of Joe is like you can see him like really working there. It's like,
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh man.
Yeah, it looks like when he pooped his pants a couple of weeks ago, right?
Oh man.
So Tony, did you do that graphic? Did you do that?
Of course I did. Yeah. Yeah, it's no, it's from a White House whistleblower. What are you talking about?
And none of these third-party whistleblowers like Eric the Charming Fellow who heard who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who
that's right.
heard it from another.
So that's it. Just remember, when you go to the store, ask for Turgid Thunder. Turgid Thunder. That's right.
Heyo. There we go. We got to give you a heyo for that.
Oh man.
All righty then.
This is the best. Woo, what a Friday morning. Wow.
Diaper. Right. They get it. It's going to be Diapergate now. Who leaked 25% more absorbent information to the press? How did they know that Joe's going to have a 25%?
Oh, man.
They're going to be fact checkers out there now.
Oh, yeah,
they're going to be all. These people on the left go nuts when they hear something like this. Like, did that really happen? They're typing right now to their friends. These right wingers, they're doing some mean stuff.
So I got a serious question. Topical. So is this a cheap fake or a deep fake, or is this a fake at all? Because this could really be happening. I mean, I think it's very possible that they've developed a 25% more absorbent maximum absorbent for Joe, and it's probably that's probably the code word too, right? Turgid Thunder. right? People were guessing it before. It's pretty obvious. So, I don't think that's. So is this a cheap fake?
I don't know, the body looks about
Asking
right.
for
I
Kareem
know,
Jean-Luc Picard.
This could be
completely.
real. I mean, the body's about right.
You know what? You should do some test dummies on some of the old senators in the Senate.
Oh,
Oh,
oh my God, the Penguin. That would be, well, he'd blow out 25%. You'd have to have 50% improvement for that guy. I mean, geez.
Okay, my cheeks are hurting because I'm laughing so hard. You guys are killing me this morning. Oh man, this is fun. What else do you have on the docket?
Well, that's it. I mean, we got to get to serious stuff after this, unfortunately, but it was a good way
man.
to get people going. So anyway, one of the things we want to talk about real quick with you is just kind of what you're going to be looking at regarding books this summer. Just give us a couple of previews and talk a little bit about that. So
Sure. Okay. So this summer, Cheryl Chumley, Washington Times opinion editor, has a brand new fiction book for the first time she's written called Chloe. And it really talks a lot about the social issues that are happening in the church. And she was inspired by specifically a true story to write this first fiction book, which is going to be a trilogy. And then she's also bringing to the All-American Book Club some brand new political books, obviously just in time for the election. So I'm going to be doing a lot with her. Peggy Grandy, former Reagan executive assistant post the White House. The president will see you now. She's going to be joining the show talking about all things Reagan. Obviously, we know Dennis Quaid and the Reagan is coming out, in August. So I'm going to have her on the show. Craig Shirley also has a Reagan book.
Oh, I love Craig. Yeah, Craig's a great guy.
Yeah, we're going to do all things Reagan this summer as well as we head into the lazy, hazy days of August. And then, Tony, as you know, I've been traveling some of our military bases, and I talked with the Special Warfare Museum curator, and then we have a couple 82nd Airborne July 4th specials that we're going to do. We're going to do a couple interviews talking with them. And you know what? I'll tell you what, going over to the base a couple weeks ago, husband and I were looking around. He's like, man, it's a ghost town over here. And I said, well, most of the 82nd's gone. He's like, yeah, but he said this whole woke indoctrination of our military, you can tell the recruitment levels are really low. And so that was very disheartening for him to see. But we're going to be talking a lot about that. Military families, veterans. As we head into fall, Great American Pure Flick is going to be sending some of their talent over to highlight Christian television, faith, family around the kitchen table. Families used to do that. So we're going to be talking a lot about the faith and the family elements at All American Book Club. And then one of my favorites, Jane Hampton Cook, she's going to be joining us for Patriotic Reads this summer, talking about kids, future generations, Pledge of Allegiance, Star Spangled Banner, all of those types of books that are being removed from the public square. She's talking about that to educate our future generations. And her books are so very popular. And she, just did one for Flag Day, July 4th, Pledge of Allegiance, all of the above. And obviously she worked in the previous Bush administration. So just a lot of those who have served this nation, who love this nation, who still love this nation, who are bringing these powerful books to the All-American Book Club. And whether we are doing the videos, the YouTube aspects, or highlighting them Saturdays and Sundays, we are in depth talking about some of the very powerful issues that are coming and facing this nation now as we head into 2025. And it's basically the Great Awakening, if you will, through literature, and inspiring readers to come back and read. Because you know what? I sit there and say, we look at our phones, and my theme is drop your phones for the love of all that's good and holy and pick up a book and educate yourself, especially for those who are on the Hill. I mean, you have these young 20s and 30s making decisions for your pocket, and my pocket, but are they really that educated when it comes to really the history of this nation? And I had somebody approach me and say, hey, great interview, but can you cut out the fact that they mentioned Robert E. Lee? Can you cut out the fact that they mentioned this? And I said, this is how bad the wokeness has overtaken our military. Tony, I could talk all day on that. But I sat there and thought, okay, fast forward. These members of Congress and their young staff who are basically making our budget decisions when we have to make a budget and they can't, they need to be educated when they come over to the All-American Book Club and hear history and hear truth.
Well, we're going to talk about that with our next guest, Paul Stone. Paul's going to join us and talk about that a bit. So I want you to stay for at least part of that interview.
Yeah, sure.
That's the very point we're trying to make. It's like the more you try to rewrite history and take the actual content out, the more you not only damage the image, you damage our ability as a country to actually make money and do things. I mean, look at Disney. We were talking about Disney today, and I brought up the Acolyte for a specific reason. It is tanking. If you go over to Rotten Tomatoes right now, and you don't have to be a sci-fi fan, it's like at 14% approval of fans, and it's just the more you try to manipulate the media, rewrite history, the more you degrade, and it's like you defund things.
Right.
Is that accurate? I mean,
it's very accurate. One thing I think about is the education aspect of this nation right now. And I remember hearing Greg Kelly. I know we all love Greg Kelly here. I remember hearing him on his radio show, and he was talking about really what Harvard and Yale stood for years ago, when it was really people didn't have access to books. So having that education, having access to books, and truly knowing and understanding what the country was founded upon. Now it's the complete opposite. It's like, let's add China, let's add the Marxist agenda, let's add, what's the next COVID, all of those specific things. And that is what is deteriorating the mindset and those who are running Congress and running the Senate as well. And so I sit there and say, how are we going to transform that? Hello. Sorry.
Hey, good morning, Paul.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Good to be. Thank you for joining us again. I understand you were having dinner last night with Ed, so I hope that went well.
Yeah, it was a great time.
So we love Ed. Ed, I know you're watching. We're just saying that, So.
Pardon?
Hitting Ed, I do actually love you. So, anyway, it's good to have you. It's good to have you here.
It's good to profess our love live on.
It is. It is. That's right. So Eden Gordon Hill is joining us this morning with you, Paul, and we were just going through some of the woke stuff. And Paul, I don't know if you all know, Paul is the president of the Colonial Metals Group. We're going to be talking a little bit about financial issues that relate to what's best for you. Obviously, we've got the banner there. You can check it out. Paul, we were just going through a little bit about Vietnam. Now, I was being a bit over the top because I was talking about how does the progressive left deal with Vladimir Putin, their enemy, going to Vietnam, where Vietnam was the place where Hanoi Jane Fonda made her name. And so she can, how do you circle that square when apparently Putin and Vietnam are warming up to each other? So I don't know how Jane would feel about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, wherever one man's trash is another man's treasure. Another way to look at that is just something that you neglect, someone else comes and takes. When the exit they made from Afghanistan. I mean, how do we leave a country so haphazardly that we leave,
$17 billion, Paul. $17 billion.
Just leave it there. I mean,
just leave it.
It's just abuse and neglect to the extreme. And so,
yeah.
The point though is it ends up costing lives. It's a little bit like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. It can cost lives. Their decisions and choice making put a lot of things in peril.
Yeah. So the reason I brought Vietnam up now, you're a guy who tracks the economy. You want to give our audience good advice. Vietnam is important because a company named Nike, you've probably heard of it, has huge factories there. Bed Bath & Beyond used to have huge manufacturing facilities, and I'm not trashing it at all. They have some really great quality manufacturing facilities there. I have stuff I bought 10, 15 years ago that I'm still using. It was made in Vietnam. So don't take my words as bad. But this is the deal. In the prior administration, Vietnam was becoming more and more westernized in a good way. They were becoming more integrated, more part of our world. And yet now all of a sudden, Joe Biden, who apparently, did you hear about Turgid Thunder? We were talking about the secret of Turgid Thunder underwear. We don't want to get into that again right now. But my point being is that Joe Biden has not paid attention to those things. And so Putin is paying attention. To your point, he's collecting things up. He's actually he's taken the Reagan playbook of how we beat the Soviet Union, and he's playing it back against us. Yeah. He's building constituencies. He's actually going back and having treaties. He's trying to undermine our economic success as a nation, as the leader of the free world, both in trade and in image. Paul, I see some really hard economic times coming because Joe Biden doesn't seem to understand how our enemies are leveraging other countries to put us in economic disadvantage. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think just in what you're saying there, one of the scarier underlying issues beneath what you're saying is that it really isn't Joe Biden. It's some regime that points him at a podium and tells him what to say and tells him where to sit and when to go and get up and go to bed. That to me the scariest thing, because then we really don't have a president knowing his own mind. We have some regime that's in charge.
Well, that's the thing. And so so Eden was talking about the economic failure of just not having focus. And I'm a Reagan guy, and people tend to forget this. But during the Reagan years in 1986, Reagan did something unheard of and he doesn't get credit for. He capped the defense budget. I came to Washington in 1987 during a budget. He had put a freeze on hiring in DOD. Think about that. Reagan and his guys during the Cold War said, we have everything we need. We're going to cap off hiring. So DOD was forced to actually only hire to vacancies. You can't expand, you have to maintain it. So not only during the Cold War did we have a strategy, we had someone who understood the economics of the Cold War, and they were working to maintain a budget on our side and to fund or make them overspend. Paul, I think we're in danger of Putin figuring it out and causing that to happen to us with the BRICS, with the Saudis now being willing to take money. That's one of the things I want to talk to you about. And if you maybe go into discussion, last week, the Saudi Arabians announced, we're no longer going to require the US dollar be the currency, the fiat currency we use for energy transactions. That's huge, but nobody's talking about it. Why is that?
Well, half of the country is paying attention to a few news sources that wouldn't talk about things that would make their party look bad. And half of the country is paying attention to those things. And that's one of the terrible outcome of political polarization, where the political system wants to use the people as sheep, weaponizing sheep, if you will. Send us attacking each other, and you're wrong, no, you're wrong, well, you're stupid, no, you are. And nothing can happen. One of the things that Reagan understood is the dynamic nature of our country flows much harder with a smaller government. People built the country. The government didn't sail over here from Europe on wooden ships in the 1700s. The people did. The people formed a government. It was one of the first things he said in his inauguration address. We have a government, not the other way around. I thought that was very powerful. Yeah, so contrasting those times 40 years ago to today, quite a different set of circumstances.
Well, Eden, you just you were around the military facilities. Maybe you can comment on this, because I enlisted in 1981 as a private in the Army. And I can tell you, to Paul's point and to what you were just saying, you just toured the military facilities. It was morning in America. Reagan folks brought this hope, and it wasn't the Barack Obama kind of cheap, cheesy hope that, we're going to give you stuff. It was more about the rise in patriotism, and you just saw what it's like. So can you comment on what you saw versus what the Reagan administration brought?
Sure, absolutely. So Paul, with the All-American Book Club radio show that I have every Saturday morning, I have been touring our military facilities. My husband is a veteran, United States Army, retired out of Bragg. So we've been Bragg, not Liberty. We have been touring a lot of the military facilities in this great state of North Carolina, wanting to focus on legacy, families, wanting to focus on the military, great wealth of military history in this state. My husband and I went to Bragg 2 weekends ago, and he made note 2 years ago and then 2 weekends ago. We know that the 82nd is deployed, but where is everybody else? Where is everybody else? We were on base 2 weekends ago, and he said, I don't see anybody else. And his statement was, recruitment levels obviously are down. We all know that. But that woke agenda that they are trying to push on the military, it has also decreased the recruitment aspect of the military. The patriotism is no longer there. And my point example is this: Miss Maryland, a couple weeks ago came out as a transgender, but she's a military spouse. She does not represent what a military and veteran spouse stands for. And she said, quoting, "It's delicious, and I cannot wait to share this with our future generations." That is what is destroying the very fabric and fiber of our American history, our faith, and our defense. And so the patriotism and freedom of this nation is on a downward slope because of this progressive woke agenda. And we are seeing it in the low recruitment levels. And now we are seeing it literally when we go to bases. Example, Tony, I hadn't shared this with you. We live by Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. And the squadron is gone. And you can tell that the squadron's gone because we saw them all take off. They had their families be there for them as they were saying goodbye. But now they're working on the runway. And it's going to be a couple months while they're working. But let me just say this. My husband always says, and Tony, you know this as well, when our military bases go silent, we know something is happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I lived through 9/11. I was on the Hill. I was by the Pentagon when it was attacked. And I was in New York the day after. I know what it sounds like when there's nothing in the sky. It is a haunting feeling. And I said to him the other day when we were walking, we always walk the flight line at Seymour Johnson. I said, the sounds of freedom are not around us right now. And I said, it's a very haunting feeling to what is ahead for this nation.
So I think that's the thing we have to recognize is that we are imperiled. And I brought up the Putin visit to Vietnam. He just visited and made agreements with North Korea. Paul, we're on the brink of some bad things. And that's why I'm glad you're here. And I want the audience to pay attention. And I want them to call 800-805-4034 to talk to your folks about you guys being able to help them with secure metals. Or go to the colonialmetalsgroup.com at Henry, which we have up there for people to look at as well. And Paul, could you talk a little about that? Because so much of what we're talking about here is, as Eden said, as others talked about, right after 9/11, the economy tanked. We had huge problems. And we don't know what's going to happen, but you could be prepared by having real metals as part of your portfolio. So could you talk a little about that?
Sure. The best way to clearly understand and quickly understand what gold and silver offers, folks, is the monies that have left wherever they were and have found their way into hard assets in gold and silver. Those dollars have relocated themselves away from these known risks. What you're doing is preserving a resource. I suggest that you stop thinking of things in terms of money or investments, not that that's investment advice, but a different perspective is needed to understand a situation one might not be all that aware of, right? Like like putting on a new pair of glasses. So if you put on a pair of glasses that had gold lenses, you would see all the falsehoods in the economy and the political system and in the financial system because you're looking through truth. Gold is one way I like to describe it is gold is truth and money. It can't be made in a lab. It can't be falsified. You can't make it into anything else. Whatever you do to it, it's still gold. It's always going to be gold. You can't, you can turn oil into plastic, right? Gold's just always gold.
Right.
It's not even from the earth. It was deposited here from space debris. It's pretty special stuff from a long time ago. So when you think of it as a resource, and especially if you're retired, you have to consider preserving that resource, that it still has something to give you until you pass on, and then hopefully you'd want something left behind for your heirs.
Exactly.
If it's in the dollar, that's on fire, right? If it's in the financial world, you can read about all the challenges and concerns that people have about the news going off around our economy and the falsehoods there. You look outside of our borders and you look at all the challenges to the US dollar and our financial system and our dominance from all around the world. The BRICS, what Russia's doing, what Saudi just did, what the Biden administration did, weaponizing our money. I mean, that was kind of the last straw. When they just see $600 billion worth of Russia's sovereign wealth that just happened to be in the dollar, the rest of the world perked up because I know Saudi Arabia is sitting there going, if they really pulled the curtain back on us, they would find all kinds of reasons to hate us, right? Saudi Arabia. There was a lot of their citizens riding on jets in 9/11. So when you look at what's happening here in domestic and outside of our country, you have to say to yourself, how do I ensure this financial resource of mine stays mine? Because without it, I'm living under a bridge, right? Without it, I'm not as free as I can be. You don't get to say what you do and want with your time if you have no money. That's a great way I heard once, and I'll end with that, on how to understand what saved money actually is. It gives you the autonomy and the ability to choose doing and saying what you want with your time. Without it, you're having to create that resource. You're having to work somewhere. You're a greeter at Walmart.
That's right. So you're talking about true financial freedom and security for your family, Paul, and I think it's important. And I'm going to say 2 words, and I really mean it. I'm not the Joe Biden 2 words to saying 3 words. I'm going to say 2 words, and I mean it. Quantitative easing, 2 of the most evil words in the English language. Paul, people don't understand what that means. That means devaluing your savings, right?
It does. It's an action to preserve tomorrow. So without it, there's such a massive amount of bankruptcy and layoffs and corporate failure without it, and financial system failure without that money. You wouldn't like what tomorrow would be.
Yeah.
So if you're going to expend a resource, right, or set one towards something, there's going to have to be a cost to that, right? If you just think about the ledger. So if you throw artificial money made out of thin air at your problems, it is going to cost those sitting on those saved dollars. It's going to cost the value of their savings to depreciate.
And so that basically meant that under the Obama administration, they decided that, we're going to do some things to benefit our political interests short term, but it's going to screw all those who actually took the time and resources to save, right? Is that an accurate summary?
Right. And contrast that again against Reagan saying we have a government, like we, the people, possess a government. They work for us, not the other way around. That's what you have today. Today, the government has a citizenry. We are possessions of the government. We're just opportunities for them that we can be withered away, that we can lose our freedoms, our power, our individuality, our spiritual flow, if you will, because we're just under assault from the stupidity and ignorance that comes out of Washington all day long.
Right.
They consider us something, and maybe now consider us the enemy with wokeism. Now George Washington and Thomas Jefferson are enemies because they did some things that were socially unjust in today's terms.
Right. So, well, let's talk about that in a second, because that's the last thing I want to wrap up. We were talking with Eden earlier about some of the Disney issues, and this is where DEI overlaps with the economics of failure. And I'm going to frame that in a second here. But before, everybody go check out Colonial Mill Ed Henry. It's there on the banner to look at what Paul and company can do to help you all be stable, secure, and confident in your future. 800-805-4034 for those who want to use the phone and dial in to them. So again, 800-805-4034. So The Acolyte. The Acolyte is Disney's latest offering that is produced by Leslie Headland. What a name. Anyway, if I were her, I'd change it, just saying. But anyway, Leslie by note was Harvey Weinstein's executive assistant. I could only imagine what she was executive assisting him with, just saying, based on what we know now. But they gave her, Paul, who gives someone $28 million to go produce something and hope for the best? But that's what they did. And now it's tragic. Disney, and this is my point here, stock markets. Stock markets have grown 80% over the past 5 years. Disney stocks plummeted 30%. So there's 2 lessons here. First, you can't necessarily trust the stock markets. Stock markets go up and down. There it is. what was that guy's name? James? What's his
Rick
name?
James. It's Rick James.
Rick
Is
James.
the star of the show here.
Did they bring him back from the dead to play that role? I don't know.
They brought him from the Dave Chappelle sketch. Rick James.
That's a good one.
That's a great casting choice there. Speaking of, hey, by the way, Paul, do you think that they pulled all the gold out of his teeth? He had like as much gold as when he passed. I mean, it was like his family could live like kings for the rest of their lives off the gold, right? Anyway,
Yeah,
I digress.
Maybe they borrowed against it.
I'm not sure what's with him on this. I'm not sure what's with Rick James.
But I'm trying to be we're trying to entertain folks here and make a point. So we are. Come on, it's my job. So my point being, Paul, is you guys offer a solution that's impervious to all this nonsense in a good way, not in a bad way. And that's my point. Is like, look at hard metals. Look at what Paul can do to secure and stabilize your future, because you can't depend on stocks. You depend. As I think about this, and the reason I brought up Disney, people 10, 15 years ago bought huge quantities of Disney stock, and they're screwed if they did, because decisions made by a woke board drove their value into the ground, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They were running with society for many decades, and they eventually made a misstep and started running against society's interests.
Yeah.
And they're getting crucified for it.
Yeah. And the value's tanking. They dropped again the other day. So again, it's like Eden pointed out, we have a society now that's going in the wrong direction regarding DEI. You put that DEI into corporations, they go down. And this is another example where a tried and true blue ribbon company always had returns. They're tanking. They're tanking because of political decisions. And Paul, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be hiring Leslie Headland anytime soon, right?
No.
Or Nina Jankowicz.
No. I pray for her.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
I pray she actually wakes up. I pray she actually wakes up.
Yeah. So that's my point, Paul.
Another great point to make, though, guys, is the power of right, the power of principles. And when folks do stand up and say that goes against my core values, those things that challenge our core values on a grand level perish, or they change. It's when we stay silent and weak and lazy and someone else will do it. Well, I'll let someone else complain. Well, they don't need my opinion. We do. When we stay quiet and silent, we end up with things running amok. That's like saying, well, the weeds aren't too bad in the garden. We'll get to that another time. But eventually, you can't separate the weeds from the corn.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's better than the power of one, the power of two, or the power of many, as they say in the Acolyte, to great hilarity, by the way. And I'm not joking. They say that in the Acolyte. So the power of principle versus the power of Disney. You know, what can I say?
You did bring up manipulation of currency earlier in the interview, and I want to talk about that because that's what China did to up the numbers in its economy. See, when people talk about when you hear liberals, people on the left going, "Look, the market's so great. Joe Biden did this. Look at all the numbers." Well, that's what China did to inflate its numbers too, to devalue its currency so the stocks looked like they were worth more. I thought about this, and then I got to thinking, because my mind wanders, that a lot of people said that Chairman Xi, President Xi of China, Xi Jinping, looked like Winnie the Pooh, and I really don't see the resemblance. I know it's fun to make fun of him. I know that's the thing. Then I was looking at the horror movie version of Winnie the Pooh, and I thought, now there's a resemblance between the two.
Closer.
Yeah,
right.
Now I see this.
Now I understand where people say he looks like Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful, because General Zhao's chicken under the current regime will actually invade countries. So, you gotta watch that out. It's like, just be careful with, it's not the old General Zhao's chicken. It's not your father's General Zhao's chicken. But anyway, let's get back to this real quick. Paul, we'll let you go in a second, but I truly appreciate you being here and helping us sort through this, because again, let me be clear. George Bush, 1,000 points of light. So you have a solution that people need to look at seriously, because you're not going to be hiring Rita Jankowicz or Leslie Headland. Let's be honest here, and you're not going to be doing anything to devalue. You can't devalue gold. You can't. I mean, so you're offering an airtight, rational, completely sound solution to helping people get through these upcoming difficult times. Is that a good summary? I think.
Absolutely. And then also, the government is incredibly great, and people in general can easily get into things, start things without determining what the exit looks like. Think of Afghanistan or Vietnam or Korea. Those were suit-run, military exercises. When the military runs an exercise like World War I, World War II, the War of Independence, then we have a clear-cut exit because we frickin' won. We won. The suits, when they manage these things,
they draw them out.
Yeah.
The point is that the exit here is, you consider gold and silver a bridge. So if we're facing some hellish chasm, don't know how deep or how wide it is, you can walk through it. You can fall down off that cliff, roll around at the bottom, and start climbing your ass all the way back up to the top on the other side many, many years later. Or gold and silver is a bridge over that chasm. And when you wake up in the morning 6 years from now, 3 years from now, 9 years from now, super excited to race back into your traditional investment approach, you call us and you come out of precious metals and you go back to whatever you want to do next.
Yeah.
You've preserved the capital. It's not now and forever. It's not throwing your finances in a set of concrete boots and jumping off the back of a boat, right? It's temporary, like all things kind of come and go. You're in gold and silver waiting for all of this hell to pass us by. These are not the headlines you'd want to be reading about incredible success happening around the corner. These are the headlines of catastrophe and destruction. Avoid that by getting your finances off this hellish financial highway with all this nastiness coming at us domestically and from outside of our country. Pull off to the rest area for a while, hang out there until you see all this nonsense pass by, and then pull back out onto that financial journey you were on before when you're excited to do it.
That's right. It's like Mad Max with the pens under Joe Biden. That's what it is. Pull off that highway.
Because so anyway, I do foresee, and historically speaking, there is a giant bankruptcy out in front of us. Again, the suits. Just because they're at a podium with a camera in their face doesn't mean they know what they're doing. It doesn't mean they're an authority. When you go to George Clooney for his opinion on things political, who cares what he thinks? But we care because he's in front of a camera.
Well, so we'll have you back. We'll have you back next week to talk more about that. A week from today, I think we should go down the Hollywood path, so to speak, Paul, to talk a little about that, because we opened that door today and we were able to circle the economics and the messaging. Clearly, you guys offer that solution. So, Paul, we'll see you again next week, right? I hope.
Yes, absolutely. I love being here. I love meeting you guys. And good luck. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too. Thanks, Paul. We'll see you next week.
Bye now.
Bye. So, Eden, we'll go through one last thing here we'll get it done. So before you go, your show again is tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Friday. Tomorrow morning. Go ahead. Tell us about tomorrow again. What
Sure. Tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. for all of those who are headed to the beach or going to the mountains for your vacations or your staycations.
Check it out.
Yeah, we have a CBN host and anchor, Wendy Griffith, joining us. And we're talking about the debates this coming week. We're talking about our picks for the vice presidential run. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I'm just putting it out there, you guys. And then we're also talking about her book tour and talking to singles who are on Capitol Hill. So it's a great interview. It's up on YouTube already, but the full interview will be there tomorrow. One thing I wanted to mention to you guys really quickly, when you guys have Paul back, I would love to hear his thoughts on those who are retired and those who have to go back to work.
Well, you're welcome to come on and spend a little time with us next Friday. We're trying to set up a schedule. So Eden, we'd love to have you come on, promote your interview and all that. You don't have to stay the entire show, but we'd love to have you back. I mean,
absolutely.
A lot of what we do here, we talk about things to help the audience understand in a deeper detail. That's a great question for Paul, and we'll definitely want to bring it up to him. So
yeah, I'm seeing more and more of it. And my parents are actually living it right now, coming out of retirement, having to go back to work because the Pennsylvania regime, if you will, and the Biden economy is just strangling that generation. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we should do that. And I think Paul would have an answer for that. So, but I think we made a compelling case. And Eden, that's why we loved you having here, because you've seen what it's like. And then Paul has the economic issues. And it's just so much there that people aren't understanding because the media is not telling the truth about things. And that's part of our job, is to be entertaining, no doubt. I mean, look, who wouldn't run out and buy Depends right now, knowing that Uncle Joe has developed a 25% more absorbent. Man, that's almost Jerry Nadler level absorbency. Almost. You got to go to 50.
It's a necessity,
but it's a step forward, right? This is almost a moonshot. This is like the moonshot, right?
Yes.
For Jerry Nadler, it would be
what a visual.
It would be absorbing Kleenex for his tears. But whenever I think of Jerry Nadler, you ever see that movie, the Monty Python's The Meaning of Life?
No, yeah.
You saw that. Remember that one episode, the one scene where the big, huge guy starts eating everything under the sun, and there's this huge gut sticking out, and he's sitting at the restaurant eating everything, and he finally throws everything up. That's Jerry Nadler.
That's Jerry Nadler. Yeah.
All right. So, well, anyway, Eden, we'll have you back next week if you want to come out and join us.
Absolutely. I love it. You guys are great. Thanks for making my Friday morning.
Thank you. Oh, it's great having you here. Thanks. Well, thanks, Eden. We'll see you soon.
All right. Have a good weekend, you guys.
Thank you. So, Chris, that was that was an action-packed show. That was. I think the folks on the chat got their money's worth. Right.
It always is, and yes, they learned about money today too.
They did.
Yep.
So I got to read one more thing before we go. So, what kind of danger is only real for real Americans? Well, we're all in this together, right? So we want you guys to be prepared. One of the things we try to do here is defend the truth. So that's what we work with. The people we bring you, the people we work with. Another group we work with is My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply will help you prepare for the worst case scenario that may come, maybe not, but it's always good to be prepared. So since 2000, My Patriot Supply has been helping millions of Americans gear up for emergencies. I got their stuff upstairs. So today, their popular 4-week emergency kit food kit can be yours, and you should go grab it. So go right now to our website for this, preparewithvnn.com. Each food kit offers over 2,000 calories a day. And that's a good amount of calories. That's what we use in the military. That is good. That's good, a good sustainable calorie intake. With the ultra durable 4-layer packaging, it lasts up to 25 years of storage. Again, I've had mine a couple of years. It's upstairs. It's stored. So order as many kits as you need and save $50 on each one, including free shipping. What a great deal. So again, stock up now. Go to the essentials for the food that you need to keep your family safe in the worst case scenario. Be prepared with VNN.com. Again, that's VNN.com. And tell them, that we sent you, because we send you guys to where you ought to be safe, right? Okay, Chris, I think that is it. Man, that was a fast hour.
It's a fast hour, and that's a wrap, yes.
Right? I mean, God bless.
Time flies when you're actually enjoying yourself.
You think we're professionals or something. Jeez.
Well, I need to get some of those.
It's hard to believe they found me wandering the streets of Baltimore and gave me a show. So what?
All you have to do is point out the mess over there. You become famous. That's pretty easy.
Don't say mess. Don't say mess.
Oh. That gives a new definition to queasy infumi.
I like your Rick James comments. I wonder what happened to the gold in his teeth. I do wonder about that. It's like a mystery. They should bring back Robert Stack. Unsolved mysteries.
He sold the gold against the weak dollar. That's what he did.
And he brought a girl home to mother that he shouldn't have, right? I guess.
Oh, I thought they got along. The second song, though. By the time the next song came along, they got along.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, folks, it's been fun. It's great seeing y'all. I appreciate the comments in the chat. I guess we're back Monday, right? Another day, another action-packed show, right?
That's true. And I used to like Mondays as much as Brenda Spencer liked them. But you know what? I like them a lot better now.
All right, good. All right. Well, thanks, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.